Hey, everybody. Welcome to One More Round, your special edition Patreon exclusive podcast brought to you by the World of Concacaf. I'm Eric,
I'm Donald.
and Jonathan couldn't join us today. He's got a personal engagement. Happy anniversary,
Happy anniversary
Jonathan.
to the slaves.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're celebrating. Donald, before we get down to business, you're in Australia?
I'm in New Zealand.
Oh, you're in
Uh,
New Zealand.
yes, I am in Auckland. So kia ora to everybody. It's 1:15 in the afternoon tomorrow. I think this is the first one more round that has taken place in two separate days at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
I
This
don't
is
think we've even had it where we've, started on one day and then I'm on the East Coast kind of venture into midnight. We've always
yeah.
done it on the same day. This is the first one on two separate days. It's
Yeah.
Sunday night for Eric. It is Monday afternoon for me.
Yeah, we're dabbling in time travel here.
Yeah.
Um, but we want to chat about the Women's World Cup because Donald's there. We also want to chat about the League's Cup because it's bullshit and nonsense. um, but just some first housekeeping. Patrons, thank you for all your support. We're going to pause payments we're not billing you for the month of July or August. Appreciate all the support, but we haven't really been doing much. So we're not making you pay for it. And because of that, we're also going to make this public. We will be kicking it back up. I'm sure we'll be talking about the end of the Women's World Cup. We'll be doing more laser focuses soon. And yeah, if you want to join, patreon.com/podcacaf, support the podcast and everything we're doing, talking about CONCACAF nonsense. So let's get to that nonsense. First, Women's World Cup. Just a quick rundown because CONCACAF is showing strong in its Women's World Cup. We got 6 squads out there as of right now with one game to go in the group stage. Canada is sitting at 1 win, 1 draw in Group B. They're in a good spot. Costa Rica in Group C has been eliminated. They just have 2 losses. Haiti sitting on 2 losses as well in Group D. They need England to defeat China in the last match and then probably win by 2 to get through. But Haiti has looked very good. USA Group E sitting at 1 win, 1 draw. They just need a result or Vietnam to beat Netherlands in the last match. Jamaica having a really good tournament. They're 1 win, 1 draw in Group F. They need a result versus Brazil to get through to the knockout. And Panama has been eliminated after losing their first 2 games. Donald, first, let's just talk about the games. What have you seen from CONCACAF teams? What stood out to you?
I think what stood out to me first is let's start with Jamaica. I think Jamaica, I thought, had a really bad beat in the sense against France. They probably could have won that game, and France has looked really good at times. I think that France Brazil game the other night is the best game we've had this tournament so far. Colombia Germany also very good, but those aren't CONCACAF teams. Focusing in on Jamaica, Jamaica has, I thought, played very well, and I think honestly they get a boost now because Bunny Shaw, who is their Lord and Savior, and it's literally a threat to score whenever she puts on cleats. She got that red card in the first game, which I thought was very harsh, or second yellow, I should say. It was very harsh. And so she had to sit out the second game, and now she's back. Will she come back with a vengeance? Can she put some points on the board? Can, Jamaica put some points on the board, I think is the question. But if they can, the fact that they were able to get that victory without her gives them an extra boost to maybe qualify and leave it to France and Brazil, right, to figure out which of those two stays in this tournament and which one goes home, because those are 2 very, very good teams. So I would start with Jamaica, them playing exceptionally well and showing out for themselves. And you mentioned Haiti. Haiti, I thought, even though they have 2 losses, has shown very well in doing that.
Yeah.
If there's a way to say that they've shown well in 2 losses, Haiti is the example there. And I still think they have a shot. Just like you said, their scenario is still very simple. If they win and England defeats China, right? Then they are through. And it's one of those things that the fact that they still have hope, I think, will lend them to play very well in this last game. But those are the two teams that have really stood out to me so far. I know we talk a lot about the United States and Canada, but to have those two teams, especially two teams that are in their first Women's World Cup, to show as well as they have, is really, really cool.
Yeah. And I think the thing, and it's not just necessarily a CONCACAF thing, the thing I've noticed from watching a lot of these games, and to be honest, like it has been tough to keep up with the games going on with the time difference. Like I just simply have not been able to watch as many of these games as I've wanted to. But just from watching what I've seen of the CONCACAF teams and just tournament in general, it's been a very competitive tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not getting the ass kickings that you've seen in past years. No one's beaten anyone 13-0. No one's beaten anyone 10-0. Like there's been 1 or 2 5-0, 6-0 games. Other than that, it's been very, very competitive. And all of these CONCACAF teams have held their own for the most part. A couple bad results in there. Haiti, yeah, again, they're sitting on 2 losses, but they've looked good. I mean, I don't know if that's fair to be sitting on 0 points after the way they've played after 2 games. And yeah, no, it's just great showing by CONCACAF overall. Even saying that, Canada has not looked great. They've struggled.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. has not been,
100%
inspiring.
sharp. Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially that draw against Netherlands, like, that there's more there and you're sitting there watching it. And like the end of the game, they turned it on, they got their result, but it was rough.
Hey, honestly, for the U.S., like the U.S. is in the toughest group. Statistically, the FIFA rankings show that it's far and away the best group at this World Cup. And of course, everyone says, "Oh, the United States." You love to say that, but the rankings show that. And the fact that Portugal qualified for this through the playoff and got put in this group only ratchets that up a little bit. They're the quote weakest team in this group, and in their first World Cup, they've shown to be great. Vietnam has shown to be a really tough team. Despite losing twice, they've shown very well in doing that, and they're not going to be an easy out for the Dutch. Everyone thinks the Dutch are going to put up like 7 on them. That's not necessarily going to be the case because Vietnam has played very well, and I think in the U.S. they have shown that they can't be, they can be beat if they're not sharp, right? We've seen that kind of over the last year. It's not like 10 years ago where we could put out a team and they could have one leg tied up and still beat teams. They're not going to do that. They have to play well against this group to do so. I thought the Netherlands, honestly, I thought they played well. I think there were some other tactical decisions that were questionable, and we could spend a whole podcast on that. But
we will not.
And we will not. But I think the answer to them is get the players in the position that they need to be successful. We have not yet done that in this World Cup. If we do that, this team can go off for 5 or 6 goals, just like you said. We could do that, but we have to get players in the position. We got to get ladies on the field who can, provide some cover. We got to get, some creativity on the field. And then we have to make our subs. We have to utilize them.
Fresh legs. We got to get some fresh legs on the field.
I think I will stand behind this, being in the stands. If we have fresh legs on the field in the 75th minute of that game against the Netherlands, we win. Simple as that. Because we were, at that point, in control and pushing the envelope, and we just had tired legs doing it. And if we bring on some fresh legs, the Dutch is tired. They were making subs too, and the Dutch were still tired in the back line. We had that one where Alex Morgan was offside, but that should have been hey, if I get someone on here who can run past this defense, it's over with. And you have 2 players in Lynn Williams and Alyssa Thompson who were able, or at least ready on the field to do that, and they just weren't used.
Yeah. So get it together, Vlatko. But let's get off the field here. How's it been? Tell me about your trip. I actually haven't talked to you much since you got down there, so I want to hear about it.
So let's start with the actual journey to get here, because that's literally half the battle.
More round is for.
Basically about half the time I've been here, right, has been traveling to get here. It took me 47 hours to get from my door to the night before party in Wellington on the 26th. So I left on Monday morning at 4 a.m., went up to Baltimore to LAX, had like a 12-hour layover at LAX because apparently United didn't want to, allow me to get on a later flight to cut that down. So I did that. LAX to Sydney, which is about 16 hours. Got some sleep on a plane, which is great. 4-hour layover in Sydney, go from Sydney to Auckland, had to basically run from one terminal to the other to try and make a flight from Auckland to Wellington, which is where the Netherlands game was, and went down to there. So I mean, I was in a tailspin when I got there. I was wired, I was awake, but I faded pretty fast. I got to about midnight, so which is pretty good considering how long I traveled. But Wellington is a beautiful, beautiful city. Anyone who has the opportunity to come out here to New Zealand definitely needs to take a Wellington. I wish I was able to get down to the South Island. I know a lot of people after the game in Wellington went down to South Island between that game and this U.S. game, which is tomorrow here. And I guess tomorrow for you all, or so I'm sorry, it would be Tuesday morning for you all as well.
We got like a day and a half here.
Yeah, you got a day and a half. We all got a day and a half. It's just different time zones. But it was, they got to go experience like Christchurch and Queenstown and even taking some of the games down there in Dunedin. So I didn't get a chance to do that. I went to Wellington, went to the game. Great atmosphere, incredible atmosphere, I should say. Everybody was lit, and I think hopefully we can bring that again in Auckland. I returned to Auckland that evening. So it was my second time in Auckland in 24 hours. But I actually got to leave the airport this time and have been here since then. Been working quite a bit while I've been here. Been doing stuff for Stars and Stripes FC and some other outlets, but been able to take in the Fan Fest and hit some games, go to a couple bars. The New Zealand, the All Blacks rugby team took on Australia in a match the other night. So, I was watching that alongside France, Brazil. So it's been a very good time. Been able to get out and kind of walk around in City Center. For those of you who have been to Toronto, it has a Toronto feel because as I look out my window, I see Sky Tower, which towers over everything here in Auckland. And it's a tower that is very similarly designed to the CN Tower. It is kind of shaped in the same way. It also towers over the city in the same way as it does in Toronto. Like, Toronto has these buildings that are like, 600 feet, 700 feet. And then you have this just beacon of hope rising above it. That's kind of Sky Tower here. So it's kind of been the homing beacon for anything in the central business district. If you can see that, where you are, so to speak.
Nice. So, I mean, you've been to a bunch of World Cups, men's and women's. This is the first time you've been able to do two of them in the matter of 8 months.
Right.
You said you went to the fan zone. How did it compare to the ones in Qatar? What would you say the vibe difference has been between Qatar and New Zealand?
So I've only been to the one here in Auckland, and the one in Auckland is very small. Like the one in Doha was just massive. There was just one big scene. Everyone went there, and because all the games were essentially in one city, they only needed one fan fest, so they made it huge, right? And it was outdoors. This one's indoors. It's on the pier. It's this place called the Cloud. So it's pretty cool. You can kind of, it's underneath an awning, but it is, kind of chilly here because it's the winter. But you can sit there and bean bags and on like little landings and kind of watch the games. And they've had almost all the games on TV at the Fan Fest. The late games here, like the 10 p.m. and beyond games, they don't show those there, but all the other ones they've been showing. They have, merchandise that you can purchase. I've gotten a couple of items here. But it's been pretty cool. I think the one thing about this compared to like Doha is I didn't get a chance to go into town really at Doha to check out like whether there were bars that were watching the game or showing the game. And here, most of the bars are showing the games, which is incredible. I think that's the great thing. There's flags everywhere. There's signs everywhere. Everyone is clearly, ready to, roll out the welcome mat and greet everybody. So that's been pretty cool.
Nice. I mean, the difference I've felt in Doha was like people were like, this is very odd and weird. And I can't imagine you're getting that same vibe down there.
No. Everyone here is like, you're here for the World Cup. That's great. We're so glad you're here. There's obviously a ton of Americans around here. the dominant accent they've said so far here has been American. Instead of, this is a very cosmopolitan city. A lot of people from everywhere, including a lot of it, people from Asian countries that live here. This is one of the similar to Doha. This is a city that has a lot of expats live here, and it makes up a giant size of the population. But they said that the biggest expat population here the last week or so has been American. It's been funny to kind of see a lot of U.S. T-shirts and AO shirts and stuff like that walking around town.
Nice. What had anything good to eat? Any good beers? Any
Well, of
local?
course, I had my Nando's. This is my
Nice.
8th Nando's country, so I did that.
Jealous.
Look, if there's a Nando's in your country, you need to go witness it. It is breathtaking. It is great, and it's literally right outside our hotel, so I didn't have to go far. I've had a few beers. So New Zealand is a big wine country. Sauvignon Blancs, I think 70% of the Sauvignon Blancs on the planet are produced in New Zealand. And most of that on South Island. I have not. There's an island off of the away from here called Waiheke Island that a lot of people have been able to go to. I'm hoping to make it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it over to that island because that is where a lot of the wineries here are. There's also one distillery there. Our boy Tyler went there and said that they had a bunch of whiskey there. I have not yet tried that. So the wines here are terrific. The beers here are pretty good. It's not anything super special. They do have IPAs and pilsners and hazy pale ales and things like that. So they have a wide range of beers, but it's not they're not the quote best beers I've ever had, but they're definitely, enjoyable beers, and you're not going to go thirsty in this country.
Nice. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted while we're recording right now, and I'm watching the end of the Red Bulls San Luis Leagues Cup game, and it's just popping off in stoppage time.
Of course it would be.
Yes. That was the other thing I want to talk about in our little rendezvous here is this Leagues Cup. How are they talking about it on the streets of Auckland, the Leagues Cup right now?
No, they don't know that Leagues Cup exists. All those games have been in the dead of night. I believe, or at least some of them are like in the early morning or afternoon range because some of them are on right now. But the disconnect between me and Leagues Cup right now is literally a Pacific Ocean wide.
What a privileged life you're living right now.
I hear it's bananas. I hear there's been a lot. Obviously, I was still in town when all the Messi stuff was happening, and I don't know if that has died down. But the just generic Leagues Cup games, like, it's one of those things where I wake up and they're like, Leagues Cup tonight, and I'm like, really? Like, we're not worried, not too concerned about it, at least until I get back, when I will be on at least a similar time zone as you, and we'll have this probably a similar sleep schedule, trying to get all these games in.
Yeah, in the last 2 minutes, San Luis missed a stoppage time penalty in a 1-1 tie game, and now 2 minutes later, Red Bulls just scored to go up 2-1. So they're going through. So San Luis' Leagues Cup is over. What will the ramifications be for San Luis? Probably nothing, because this tournament is not real.
So I already know, right? Because I know that DC United has played 2 games. They beat Montreal at Montreal and then got destroyed by Pumas. I believe it's Pumas, at Audi Field. So they have to go. DC United has to go play Philly in Philly, and Pumas gets to host somebody at Audi Field. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The team, was it do I have a home stadium now? Like, was the winner of that game get the stadium and they get to keep it?
I don't know. I don't get the rationalization for who's hosting games. It just seems like they're making up as they go, and it's like, typically you'd be like, yes, sicko mode. This is make it up as we go. Nothing matters.
But there was no bracket. We just knew we knew were the groups, and that's it. They didn't tell anybody what would happen beyond the first 2 games for each team in this tournament. And also, you have some teams that have we only have there's 3 teams, and there's some teams that have 2 MLS teams, and some teams that have 2 League MX teams, so they get to host 2 games. And then Philly is getting to host 3 games. because they had two Liga MX teams in their group, and now they get to host DC United, who finished second because they finished first. DC United also knew that they had qualified because they won the first game. And I'm like, that shouldn't happen either. And I think the other thing that kind of makes this kind of weird is that all these games are taking place in the United States. So it gives off the feel of glorified friendlies in a structure, right? Like kind of like International Champions Cup type of deal.
Yeah. I mean, none of these games are well attended. I do want to shout out the Mazatlan Juarez match took place in Austin. I mean, two Mexican teams in Texas. Announced attendance 958.
There was more people at our night before party.
Yes. I mean, there's been some ridiculous stuff. Obviously, Messi. You might as well call it the Messi Cup at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Leagues Cup has no branding. The Messi does stuff cup. That will play with the folks. Leon beat Vancouver Whitecaps in penalties 16-15. That was like the first night of it.
Yeah, and then they got stuck, so they had to postpone a game because they couldn't get to LA.
The next game. Yeah. Leon having a rough group stage. I did get to witness personally Thiago Volpe of Toluca. The keeper came and took a penalty. And of course, the 8th minute of stoppage time in the first half scored a penalty against Nashville. I got to witness that in person. Like, what the fuck?
It wasn't even in the second half. It was in the first half.
It was in the first half. It was during play. It's not like an end of the game thing. Also, after further research, that is his 6th goal of 2023, the calendar year. The dude is just automatic on penalties.
We might need him. I might need to tell DC United to go pick him up.
Yeah. But it's like, I attended the 2 games here in Nashville. Season ticket holders don't know. No one knows what this is or what this means. There was a drastic, there were a couple extra thousand people for the game against Toluca because you get to, I mean, if you're a Toluca fan and they're playing in Nashville, if you live anywhere in the Southeast, you're going.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting the attendance there, but like it's a mix of starters and second team players. No, you can't tell who's taking it seriously. So it's like, how are we supposed to take it seriously?
Right.
And the fact that MLS kind of ignored, they played through the Nations League window, they played through the Gold Cup to stop their season for this. It's like, it's a very, I'm just having a hard time dealing with the nonsense of people trying to make it like it's a big deal, playing up rivalries. There are no rivalries between Red Bull New York and Atletico San Luis. There's no rivalry between Nashville and Toluca. I get that you want to get the engagement, but please talk to me like I'm an adult. You can't make me. Don't tell me this matters because I know this doesn't matter. This is not real. You are making this up as we go.
There's also look, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Leagues Cup right now, and they didn't even have the group stuff set up until 3 days ago. Games had already started, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's groups, and we don't know who's in each group." And now they even have a bracket now, which is half filled in, not even half filled in, and because
you don't know where any of the games are going to be
because
in the knockout, there are games in 5 days that are going to happen, and no one knows where they're going to happen.
It happens on the 2nd. The first games are on the 2nd, and we still don't know. We still don't know where half of these teams are slotted into this bracket. And then they're just going to be playing games every 3 days, essentially, through the end of this tournament. And it's weird. It's also, I mean, I'm sure some people are thinking it, but I will say it. It is kind of weird that all of a sudden MLS decided to do this whole thing during the Women's World Cup. And if you think about it, it started basically right when the U.S. took the field against Vietnam, and it ends on the 19th, which is the night before the Women's World Cup final is on the 20th. It seems very. I'm sure that the dates were the dates, but it seems very weird that they are trying to hype up this competition in the evening hours when people, you would think rightfully, would be trying to get sleep or whatever to kind of witness the Women's World Cup in the middle of the night over in America. It just seems very, for as much planning as has gone into it, there has been no planning that has gone into this. Like this,
It's almost like
yeah,
the planning has just, it seems like it's like a small group of people thinking this is a great idea because they're going to make some money off of it, and not like appreciating or respecting the greater context of soccer. Like
yeah.
for us,
Put some games on the road. Like put some games in Mexico. Like it should have been half the games are in Mexico in the group stage. Half the games are in Mexico. Half the games are in the United States. They should have had groups that are 4 teams instead of having one team that loses one game and realizes, oh, we're done. Like, or
yeah,
one team that wins a game, like, okay, I guess we're through, and we can rest players and all this stuff. Like, why are we resting players? This is supposed to be a way to keep guys fresh and
yeah,
keep guys getting minutes when there's no season. So there should be no like reason for people to be like, oh, I can rest a bunch of guys and bring in the high school team to play Pumas, right? Like
yeah,
it doesn't, like there's a lot of like logistics that have to go into this, and I think all of that could have been easily cured by just some rudimentary fixes, including the whole thing of like even the World Cup tried to go to a 3-team group stage and then they backed off of it before they even tried it because so many
yeah,
people are like, this is stupid. This is how this is going to work. And
yeah,
they're finding out very quickly that
yeah.
this is how it's going to work.
Yes, they're fucking around and finding out like that is not the competition they want it to be. And the great thing about Leagues Cup, if there is anything great about it, it's like they can just change their mind for next one. This is not real. They can
It's
just
going to happen
do
every
something
year.
different next time.
It's happening every year now.
It's
So
gonna happen every year, and they can change it whenever they want for any reason. They don't even have to have a reason.
yeah,
They can just
because
change
now,
it
like,
for
if you
next.
think about it, next year we have Copa America in the United States, and there's going to be players that are going to be released in June for their national team to go through Copa America, only to come home and be like, oh, I'm going to miss like 8 league games because this Leagues Cup is starting after I get back, which is exactly what happened to a lot of guys from the USA, Mexico, and Panama, and all these other
Yeah,
teams. They had this point where they go, hey, I'm coming back, and I don't even get to play a game. There's the All-Star break, and now there's this Leagues Cup game of which they're like resting players. And I'm like, so some of these guys are getting a month off, like from playing.
well, let's be serious here. There, MLS is not going to be playing through Copa America next summer
No, and they shouldn't.
because there's one reason, and that's because Lionel Messi is not going to miss games.
That's correct. Or well,
So
if now let's no wait, let's be clear. Miami is guaranteed to not be playing any games. They'll be playing, friendlies during this. But if anyone like DC United may be like, yo, we'll just play through it. But
yeah.
Miami will not be missing any games next year. That is definitely certain.
They won't be playing any home games. That's for damn sure.
Nothing. They will.
During
Well,
that,
they're not going to be playing
yeah,
nothing, right? Like,
yeah. So, and it has driven me nuts. Like it's amazing that Lionel Messi is playing in Miami. Like it's absolutely ridiculous.
mm-hmm.
Like he is a living god of the game, playing in fucking Fort Lauderdale in the remnants of Lockhart
Lockhart
Stadium,
Stadium.
and like Lionel Messi is playing there. But in every like it's amazing he shows up and has highlight reel moments immediately. But everyone's like, "Oh, he's too good for this." Like, no, he does this shit everywhere. Like,
It doesn't matter where
you
who's
guys watch the
playing.
World Cup final? Like, he scored a bunch of goals there too.
Well, so
I'm sure he can handle it against fucking Atlanta United.
someone was like, "Oh, are you really excited to go watch Messi play?" And I go, "I've seen him. I've seen him play. Yeah, but he's a guy. I've seen him play several times. I've seen him destroy the United States. I've seen the United States destroy him. Like I've seen all. I've seen him play for Barca. I've seen him play for whatever. Like the Copa America game, 2016, where we played them in the semifinal. He had that like free kick that
Yeah.
if there was like if you point there was like a 99.9% chance of it being saved by Brad Guzan and he still scored. Like I was right there. I was the one guy in the stadium going, "Oh, that's going in. That's nothing Brad could do about that one because he put it right in that little box." Like those are things that we've already seen, and now it's almost like 10 years later. Almost people are like, "Yo, you should watch this. You would enjoy this guy play." Like I've seen him.
Yeah, we're a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm not paying $800 to watch him play this fall. Like that's just not going to do it. So, I will wait till next year when he comes to DC. Yeah, I'll probably buy a ticket. But like,
yeah,
I'm gonna get a not a $900 ticket. I'm going to get a normal, regular price looking ticket.
Yeah. I can't wait for the first game that they've got on turf. What all like the chatter that's going to be leading up to that. It's like, oh, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Oh, he's not going to play. And what about all the fans? It's going to be everything you expected it to
So
be.
you're saying you can't wait for him to play at New England in October or March.
Well, they're supposed to play at Atlanta United next
Oh, he'll
month,
play on
and
that one.
then
He'll play on that. I'm thinking about like the turf that hurts, like the turf that pains when you land on it. Like Atlanta United, yeah, that's indoors though. So like,
well, they're also at Charlotte near the end of the year.
yeah, that might be if it's cold enough there, which it sometimes in Charlotte gets cold, but not like
Yeah,
super early. I'm thinking about like, yo, yeah, he did this in Miami. He did those goals. It's great. They look great. But Miami doesn't like the team doesn't like playing at New England any time
yeah,
of the year. But like have them play there in March, see what happens. See how quickly Sergio Busquets and all of the 2006 Barcelona team are like, whoa, we don't do
yeah,
that.
yeah. We'll know who the real pecking order is in MLS based on
Mm-hmm.
when they get Miami away
Yep. Yep.
next year. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go because you're in fucking New Zealand and shouldn't be sitting in your hotel room talking to me. Um, I'm gonna sit here and finish my Appleton estate I got in Jamaica. I'm
We
drinking.
don't get that here, so
Yeah,
enjoy it for me as well.
yeah. We didn't do the what are you drinking part of it, so it's me doing
Uh,
the what are you
we have
drinking
tonight
part
for
of it.
that, so
Yeah, you get your drinks in as the night before. Um, I hope you have a lot of fun. We're gonna have podcasts after this, so I can't wait to hear more about the trip. Can't
absolutely,
wait to hear about you watching the US win another World Cup. Um, that'll be fun.
that'd
I
be
think it would
great.
be fun.
Yeah, I've seen it
Yeah.
before. That
Yeah.
movie's great. I should watch. We should watch it again.
Yeah. It's one of those rewatchables,
Definitely
the
rewatchable.
remote drop
Two
movies.
hours sorted.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you everyone for listening. To our patrons, we love you. Enjoy a month without giving us your money. Um, we're gonna have more content for you. Make sure you visit our store. Follow us on. I'm still calling it Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. We're on Blue Sky. I don't know if I set up a Threads yet. I might just I don't know, whatever. But yeah, patreon.com/podcast. Email us podcast@gmail.com. Follow Donald at
Blazing
where you
DW at Star Stripes FC at USA Soccercast. We'll lots of content coming in while we're here.
yeah. So we'll shut it down here. Thanks, guys.
Peace.